What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a Friday edition of Around the Blockchain here on BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. I'm your host, Jay Chains. We got a great show. As always, it's a great show here on Around the Blockchain. Our guests include some of your favorites in the blockchain space. We've got, and he's ready to bring the heat, Arcane Bear, everyone's favorite Cryptostache.
Thank you, guys.
We've got my co-host on the New Money Gang channel, Brian. This is a New Money Gang takeover today, by the way. And last but not least, Mr. Team USA all day, Benjamin Armstrong. Keeping it
US, let's go.
Keeping it local here in the States. All right, guys. America, baby. All right, so make sure that you go into the show description, get these links for these guys' show, and show them some BitSquad love, ladies and gentlemen. All right, if you're a stranger to Around the Blockchain, it's a fun show where we go through all sorts of crypto things. Everybody's got a little score button in the bottom corner of their little panel. If you like what they're saying, drop a +1 comment in the comment section of the live chat, and we will get them some scores, and we'll see who wins. And whoever's got the highest point total at the end of the show gets to leave us with a little bit of a parting message. So we got some great topics today. We're going to talk about our tech company is going to be the leader of the bull run. It's the weekend. Are we going to pump? Are we going to dump? And then coming soon to a store near you, blockchain ATMs. First, before we get into the show, let's do a little bit of a market watch, huh? Let's see. The markets are still cooling off. We do have some alts that are surging, though. Axie's up around 20%. We got AMP also up about 20%. And Thorchain, that took a little bit of a tumble after the hack. That is down about 25%. All right. That's a little market watch for you. Let's get into the show. Let's start this off with the tech companies, because this is kind of a big thing, right? I mean, everybody always thought, ooh, how are we going to get this bull run to get started? How are we going to get this money injected into the old ecosystem here? So tech companies leading the bull run. Here we go. Twitter. Jack Dorsey explained recently in Twitter's second quarter earnings call just this Thursday, yesterday, that Bitcoin will allow the company to move faster with products such as super follows and a tip jar. A week earlier, Square, which is the parent company of Twitter, they revealed that it would build a hardware wallet to service and to make Bitcoin custody more mainstream. And Twitter shares were up almost 5% after that pre-market trading. Arcane Bear, let's start with you, buddy. Is Twitter going to lead the way for big tech adoption?
Well, I definitely think Jack's a very interesting character, and he has the persona of a visionary to definitely help lead some of this stuff forward. You know, I think Bitcoin is clearly seating itself as the internet money, effectively, or the money of the internet. And I think the further we go, the more likely it is that Bitcoin remains the kind of base protocol for our monetary layer here. I think what Jack is doing by building more development, more awareness, he had the B word this last weekend. I think it's really interesting to see how these tech companies that evolved, I guess, more in the early 2000s are starting to clearly lead the way with what's going on now. So when we look back at the early days of the internet, most people didn't think it would make it this far to begin with, let alone a digital monetary system. So having built-in tip jars, being able to support communities, maybe even follow pointers to those communities. So instead of just your kind of centralized Twitter force, they could get rid of some of the liability that they've been taking on by hosting and becoming a bit of a publisher. So there's a bunch of angles I think that they'll be able to take aside from just the monetary route here that provides them a lot of value. I also noticed that Amazon was doing something similar too. And it's really, I think, just a matter of time until you see companies like PayPal and Amazon start to use their own version of like a USDT or a USDC to settle things in the background. And start to offer clients the potential for DeFi solutions as well. So I think it's a race to see who can provide the most user-friendly product on the front end, because that's where one of the really big steps is using a hexadecimal code for a wallet addresses still reminds me of DOS. And the first big companies I think that really start to replace that will make leaps and bounds in terms of user adoption.
Awesome, man. Stache, what do you think about the whole adding a tip jar or super follows on social media like Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of a natural evolution that we'll see here, you know, as we kind of move into this, social economy where your pull, your influence. We've already started to see this, but your pull and your influence, directly correlates to how much money you're able to bring in through social media and doing it in a more direct way. Because up until now, we have all these great social media channels, and we have these influencers that are maybe doing marketing, or we don't know, there's no real direct avenue on social media to really rake in money from people right there in that post. And so I think that that's something that cryptocurrency has kind of pushed to the forefront, and kind of, I will say, like, not say force their hand, but it does make sense in this next evolution in what we're seeing here, with a lot of these major social media companies wanting to get on board with something like that. We're already seeing, we saw little trickles of that from Instagram. The first thing was like Instagram doing, being able to have store fronts where essentially every post you're putting out there, you can make it a product, and you can buy it directly through that. I think we'll start to see that too a lot with NFTs. A lot of these sites are visually focused, right? They're focused on visual content, and being able to directly sell your visual content as an NFT, where people can collect it in a certain way. It's limited, and that's, I think, actually a better, I'd say a better use case than just having a straight tip jar. Having a tip jar is great, being able to hit something and tip it. But we've already been experimenting with this in cryptocurrency for a long time. One of the first, social blockchains that came out, and social platforms that came out that was crypto based, was Steemit, which is now kind of transitioned to Hive. But that was kind of the premise, is that hey, you're upvoting posts, and it's you get a little bit of cryptocurrency for it, and you have these scores, and but it's highly manipulated. Whenever money gets involved in these platforms like this, it gets highly manipulated in a way where they're trying to farm the money based upon the content they're putting out. And so I think the content starts to degrade. So that is the one thing I'm a little bit worried about, is content on these platforms degrading, because they're flooding the market with dummy, crappy content that nobody really wants to see, but people can just keep upvoting, and they have these kind of cycles that you can't kind of get out of. And we've already seen that. So, when it comes to that, the comparison with big tech in general getting on board and kind of like kicking this bull run off, I think that, they're a little behind. A lot of these giant tech companies like the Amazons, Googles, the large social media companies, they're behind a lot of what's already been going on in the space independently. And so we've already had, bots on Twitter where you can do tips directly through crypto, or through Telegram or Discord. These things have been around for a long time already. Now, are a lot of people using them? Well, I mean, a decent amount of people, I think, in the crypto industry are. But yeah, you're right. They haven't been rolled out to a mainstream audience yet. And when they do, I'm sure it will definitely give things a kick. But I don't know that it's going to be Bitcoin. I don't think that it's going to be a Bitcoin-based layer. I think that it makes more sense that it is some sort of native token that they have more control over. And, like I said, then that way they're not gaming and losing all this Bitcoin, because people are just straight gaming the damn system. Because you know how people will do this? Gamers, yeah, they want to game the system. And everybody else who likes money wants to game the system for more money. Wherever they can take advantage, they will. So that's going to be the biggest hurdle for big tech here, bringing on some of these social tip jars and content creator rewards.
Yeah, you know what, I will just to quickly say that, and then I'm going to bring another question over to Bennett and Brian. But with the tip jar or the tip bot that's currently on Twitter, I've always found it to be terrible. I've never used it. I've gotten a few tips here and there, but it's kind of just more been a pain to me than anything. And so I really agree with you there that having a native token with that utility is definitely the way to go. Brian, let me bring the next question to you. Now this is, if you've got Twitter accepting Bitcoin for payments for creators, do you think YouTube and Twitch are far behind?
No, they're not. But at the same time, I don't think they're really the ones that are pushing awareness at all. So, like, it's going to be good. Like, the tip stuff is great. I think it will play out. And I see what you're saying, Stache. Like, it's going to get gamified, yes, but that stuff I think will be able to be filtered out. I think the best content in the end will win in general, whatever people are putting out. So, I think it will get that way. I just think it's still too early. I don't think big tech is bringing awareness because they're doing what's easy and what's better for them, and they're not taking risk. I think the only way that this brought like awareness to Bitcoin is if you could only tip in Bitcoin, but that's not the case, right? They want to make it easy for everybody. So, you know, and like same thing with Twitch and YouTube, they're gonna only want people to tip in whatever, you know, they're using, whatever their native. I agree more with the native token on their platform that people are going to use. They're not going to try to push adoption for anything else.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. Ben, if you want to answer anything about Twitter, I can turn it over to you. Or in the other tech side of things, we're talking about Amazon. So if you want anything to say on Twitter, let me know. If not, I'm going to hop over to Amazon.
Usually I tweet on Twitter. That's all I have.
I will award you a point for that. That was very witty,
Thank you.
as always. All right, so with Amazon, so these guys are looking to hire someone to lead its digital currency and blockchain initiatives. Now, this job is going to be Seattle-based, so it's here in the States, and it's within the realm of their payment systems, and they're going to be working closely with the AWS. Now, the specific duties of this position include working on Amazon's digital currency and blockchain strategy and product roadmap. Ben, which would be bigger, you think, Amazon adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, or them being able to accept payments from consumers on their platform?
Well, first, I want to, can we get clarification that it's Seattle-based? Is it located in Chaz or not?
Yes, it's going to be in Chaz.
It's located. Okay. Well, then obviously, like, there's no rules or laws, so we'll just, you know, they can accept Bitcoin. People can send it from the dark web. It'll be really great. Listen, here's the thing. If you were to ask me what I think would be bigger, Amazon adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet would be much, much, much bigger. Because look, if we go and we look at Tesla, okay, compare the move that Tesla pushed on Bitcoin by buying Bitcoin out into their books, as opposed to when they said they were going to accept Bitcoin. It did nothing for the price, okay? Now, when Elon Musk said that they were no longer going to accept it because it was bad for the environment, which he totally reversed this week, we know that had a negative effect on the price. But guys, I say it until I'm blue in the face, until I'm red, white, and blue in the face, okay? Bitcoin is not a currency. It will never be a currency. People do not want to spend it. I don't care if it's accepted on Amazon or not. More people are not, you know, there's not going to be a sudden influx of people using Bitcoin on Amazon just because they accept it. Yes, in one sense, that would be good for, I know my collar's all jacked up. In one sense, it would be good for adoption. I understand that, but people just don't want to spend Bitcoin. Now, if you're a retailer on Amazon, you certainly want to accept it. That's definitely a good long-term strategy for more established companies. But even in the short term, retailers won't want to accept it. Because if you accept Bitcoin for, let's just say, AirPods that you sell or digital, or wireless headphones, you don't want to push those out there for $100 a piece. And then you get the money and Bitcoin drops 40% overnight. And now you got $60 for a physical product. It just doesn't make sense for Bitcoin to be a currency. It would be much more an announcement that would be a lot of hype. But them actually buying a lot of Bitcoin would literally take away from the supply, the circulating supply. That would have a much bigger impact on Bitcoin.
That's a great point. All right, so then really quick, I just want you guys each to answer this. You just give me a one-word answer. Arcane Bear, I'll start with you. If they do decide to add crypto to this whole thing, do you think it's going to be a native token like Facebook's Diem, or do you think it'll be an already existing crypto that we know of?
My guess would be like a USD Amazon, like a Amazon branded stablecoin, effectively. Okay. That would be my first guess.
Perfect. Stache, what about you?
I think these bastards are working with the U.S. government. They're going to be using the first CBDC coming from the United States in conjunction with all the rest of the rat bastards that are working together.
Nice. Brian, what do you think?
I think they'll use something that's already proven and working.
Ben? We don't care.
Depends on time frame. Shorter term, it will be something else. Longer term, they'll all have their own tokens.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's hop over to the next topic. It is Friday, like we mentioned before. And what comes after Friday? Well, Saturday. It's the weekend. Now, historically speaking, we always know that the markets get a little crazy on the weekends. Are we going to see a pump or a dump? Now, Bitcoin has been holding onto some gains after a strong return above 30K. We have seen that bounce back since July 20th when we saw the market lose over $100 billion in just 2 days. Ethereum wallet addresses collectively with 10,000 to a million ETH have just exploded. It's just insane in the last 6 days. With that said, do we see a weekend pump or a dump? Brian, let's start with you.
I would say nothing over 34.5, but I think it continues to go up through the weekend, and just kind of stick with this short little uptrend here.
Yeah, we're not ready to go parabolic quite yet, huh?
No.
Okay. All right, Stache, what do you think? Where are we at this weekend?
I honestly think this weekend is actually a really big weekend for Bitcoin and the entire industry. I think that the last dip we saw here with Bitcoin going below 30,000, I think that was the bottom. I'm calling it right now. I think that was the bottom, and I think that now we're going to just continue to go up. We're not going to have a leg back down to that level again, and depending on what happens this weekend. So depending on how this weekend goes, if this weekend goes good and we hold the levels we're at least where we're at right now, or continue to go up even a little bit more, I think that we're going to continue to see Bitcoin and the rest of the industry rising here over the next couple of weeks. If not, then all of Ben's predictions on these shows are not going to come true, guys. And I am the bull. I am the Bitcoin bull, and I want that stash to keep going. Just like you guys want to. I want my stash to keep going up in value, and I think the bottom is. I really feel that last dip was the last dip before we take off in a rocket here, heading to Mars with Elon on board and Jack on in the other seat. He's in the co-pilot seat, and we're gonna blast off. That's what I think.
Awesome.
I'll throw him overboard.
Man,
they're coming to you. You can be there in the back too with me, man. We'll sit in the back. Let them be in the seats. And then they can take all the heat, right? You know, anything that's coming out of them, asteroids, things like that, and then we'll be in the back. Yeah. So when something does happen, we can get to the escape pods quicker than they do.
I like that. Well, batten down the hatches, baby. Here we go. Arcane Bear.
I'll throw them to the wolves.
Arcane Bear. Initial resistance is seen at the 50-day moving average near 34K. With resistance and support, do you think we've flipped anything yet? Any critical areas?
No. So this red line here is known as the POC, or the point of control. Right now, what's showing us is the largest amount of buying and selling that's taken place in this area. And so if we start to see a big close above this point of control right now, around 34,000, this would actually validate the falling wedge that I've drawn up here. Now, one of the things we've been following as well, for those that like studying Wyckoff, is a distribution channel. So there's a high potential that because we broke down and have not closed back above that $32,000 area, that we will see further redistribution. Now, how low that goes, we have some really strong support at both 26, 23, and 19,000. So I wouldn't think we go too much lower than 23, even if we were to see a dip. And we have often seen these types of really high volume springs that come into the later of phase C as well. So what I would like to see is, now that we are holding above the falling wedge trend line, is to get above this red line at the point of control of around $33,000, and then hold above 34. That would very quickly send us up to 42. But if we cannot get above this point of control over the weekend here, I do suspect we will come down and test lower for kind of one final shakeout of the market. Now, I guess more importantly, what my sentiment general is, I don't really think about market cycles and weekends. This is the last, I guess, pretty much the history of Bitcoin. And you can see between 2011, 2012, you had a 400-day accumulation cycle. 2012 to 2013, you had a 225-day accumulation cycle. For me, anytime I see anything below a cycle high, I look at it as an accumulation range. So effectively, whether it drops down to 20,000 or stays in this range, to me, I'm just executing monthly accumulation strategies at this point, and kind of ignoring what it might do on the weekends.
Well, there you go. There you go.
The weekends don't matter anyways. It's all the weekend warriors out there trying to trade, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. I just hodl on the weekends, man. I never do any trading, but I agree with you, Arcane Bear. I think that we're, like I said, I feel like we're at a very critical point right now, and if we can kind of hold and keep going up, I think it's good. But I do think this weekend is one of those critical points.
Cool. Well, hey, so according to CryptoQuant, we're seeing that a lot more traders are putting in short positions versus long positions. Now, I don't know if this means, if we're at the end of the cycle or if things are going to be changing, but Ben, do you have any advice for people that have kind of been sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in? Is this the time? like after we just heard Arcane Bear say that, hey, we could get down into the low 20s. What do you say to someone who's kind of sitting on the sidelines or just getting into the space?
That we're not going to the low 20s, Arcane Bear. That's what I would say. I like how Arcane Bear said. He said, and I can't see it going much further down than 23. That's a gigantic drop. Like, that's huge. Like, that's a friggin' 40% drop from here. I don't see that happening in any stretch of the imagination. I've been very clear on what I think is going to happen. There's a video going around that some people have been asking me about by another YouTuber, and he's one of these YouTubers who just got into the crypto game since it was popular. He has done other stuff in finance and kind of traditional marketing videos. And obviously, if you're a marketing guy, when crypto's hot, you just come over and you jump to crypto and you try to make your mark there. Here's the fact. People who have not been through these cycles, have not been through a full cycle, they don't have as much validity as those that have. Now, every person who's on this panel has been totally through it 100%. It's easy to get caught up and get swept up in the depression of the prices being down. And there's this idea that all of us YouTubers are out here and we're saying, oh, there's another run up, and that we're saying one more run up from the perspective of we need views, we need clicks, we need people to come and watch our videos, so we need the prices to go up, or we're at least lying to them and telling them that so they'll come watch the videos. It couldn't be further from the truth. I know most of the YouTubers in this space. I know almost all the largest non-actor YouTubers in crypto. I would say I do know them all. And the fact is,
you don't do that? You tell me you don't do that?
No, absolutely not. You guys know how you know? You guys want to know how you know? Yeah, absolutely. You guys want to know how you know I don't do that? Because look back at the last year and a half of my channel, and I've said one consistent message throughout it, which is this bull run ends in the fall. And I've said that consistently, and I believe it with 100% conviction. Every bull run is going to be a little bit different. This one is going to become known as the one that had a large accumulation in the middle of it, followed by a hyper parabolic run up until the fall when things are going to change dramatically. Go look, it's a consistent message. We've said it over and over and over again. We don't change what we say and what we believe and what we think because of one day's action or even 1 month's action. So, when you look at a lot of these people that are just kind of like saying whatever's popular, right now it's popular to say it's going down much further. Guys, it's not been able to get under 28K. It's touched it, and it's touched it. And I understand the perspective of the more it touches it, the more likely it is to go below it. And that makes sense from a technical analysis standpoint. However, there's just not the volume to push it down. Last weekend was the perfect time to do it. We had people everywhere preaching FUD about this grayscale unlock, that this was going to be the big move down. The same thing people were saying last Friday. It's going to 24K this weekend. Guys, that's not really traditionally how we see this work. We've already had one massive, gigantic drop in a day. In a bear market, we'll have multiples of those. But we don't believe that that's where we're at now by any stretch of the imagination. What we should be doing right now, looking for good entry points. If you're on the sidelines, know where you want to get in at. We're actually looking at the upside. When Bitcoin gets closer to 40, that's when we're going to take the rest of our stable coins and put it in. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but we do want to make sure that we're actually breaking up and on the right direction as we stumble between, 29 and 34 for the last several weeks. We want to get some confirmation of that. Everyone is expecting it to dump this weekend. I'm with Stache. I believe that we're going to see the opposite of this weekend. I think we're going to come in on Monday where we're going to be above 33, maybe above 34. Right now, we're catching momentum. We're back at 32.5, almost 32.6 at this point. It's $32,580 as we speak. We have to, at some point, hold this $32,500 level. Now, we do know futures contracts close every single Friday. So it could be possible that, we saw the price drop a little bit earlier today. Maybe that was an attempt to push it down, but it's the last Friday of the month. So next Friday, the last Friday of the month, there's a possibility we'll see some downward momentum, but I think we'll already be on the way back up. We've said mid-July forever. I can't back off of it now. I'm with Stache. I hope that $30,000 was the bottom. But the point I was making earlier that I never actually, finished is I know these YouTubers who have been through this before. And the ones who are telling you we have one more run up, they're not doing it for clicks. They're doing it because we've all staked our reputations on this, and we've all believed this for the last 18 months about when this is going to end and where this is going, and that we will see a six-figure Bitcoin, and we still don't believe it. And we don't know how we're going to get there. I think I know how we're going to get there very quickly. But the fact is, we all deeply and passionately believe in that, and we're making financial moves in our personal lives and in our businesses that reflect that.
I like that. Actually, today on New Money Gang, Brian, I'm going to ask you the same question about, sitting on the sidelines or if you're going to get in. But on the show today, one of our punishment wheels was you got to make an investment. So 15% of this portfolio and this challenge that we're doing, I've got to invest. And I'm going to invest it in crypto because I believe that we are getting ready to take another leg up. And I think it's going to happen within the next couple of weeks. So I'm with what you guys are saying. I'm ready for it to happen. I know it's going to happen. I don't think we're not ready to go down much farther. I think the bottom hopefully was in a few weeks ago. Brian, what about you? Are you sitting on the sidelines or are you tapping in?
I mean, I'm never sitting on the sidelines. And so if anyone is new to this channel, if they're on here right now, they're not sitting on the sidelines. Like, they're getting in, they're just trying to find the perfect timing. There is not a perfect timing. We are in accumulation phase right now. I don't know how long that's going to be. I always know that, yes, there is trend analysis, but it always does the unexpected as well, because now there's a lot more manipulation in this space than there ever has been before, with a lot of big money coming in. So we don't know exactly how it's going to shake out, but I'm 100% bullish on Bitcoin going to the moon. My personal target is 130. I think that the cycle will be a little different than before. I don't think it will necessarily end in the fall. I think we might see a longer accumulation period right here where we're in now. So I see it maybe hitting 34, but then I don't see us really powering through that right away. But I still think we will have a solid climb up into the spring, and I see a six-figure Bitcoin like by the beginning of next year. So I am just buying Bitcoin and crypto and other altcoins every single day, every single week, every single month. I am allocating some of my fiat into crypto, and that's what everyone should be doing, is buying little bits at a time, and you're going to get a nice DCA, dollar cost average, and get a good price.
I like it. Arcane Bear, what about you? What do you have to say for anybody that's either new to the space or sitting on the sidelines?
I think 100% the best way to go about it is to find a consistent investment strategy, and basically to ignore price. Like what I was just showing with our technical analysis is the potential for what would be a very short-term dip. You would already have to have buys set up there. I basically ignore price, and I just focus on, it's the 11th of the month, it fits our buying structure, and we add it to our treasury every month. We've been doing that for the last 2.5, 3 years now, pretty consistently, and it removes a lot of the emotion. Now, there are specific times in the market where I do look too heavy and really increase my portfolio exposure, but it is in a time when people are extremely fearful. In the beginning, like when we first started locking down all the countries, that was like the best time to invest. If you go back and you look in history, the best times to actually like really throw everything at the kitchen sink at an investment has been when there's peak fear in the markets, like the 2008 financial crisis or the 2001 stock market bubble from the .com sector. So every time we get into those peak fear moments, I really try to lean in. But in terms of on a day over day basis, month over month basis, like where we are right now, I think the best strategy that anyone can achieve extraordinary results with very little effort is just to find that consistency that meets your monthly budgeting, what you can save and what you can generate with revenue, whether you're a business or an individual, and basically ignore the price of the investments that you're interested in, unless it's a moment of like extreme fear. And then I try to throw as much at it as I possibly can.
When in doubt, zoom out, right? That's what everybody says.
Yes, correct.
Don't pay attention to what's happening right now. Look at the bigger picture. All right, let's move on to our third topic. This one's all about Bitcoin ATMs coming to a store near you. Now, recently, Circle K, a chain of convenience stores, they will continue to add thousands of Bitcoin Depot ATMs to their locations. Now, currently, they've got 700 machines in operation at the Circle K locations in about 30 states, and they got plans to add 10,000 more by the end of this year. Let's see. Ben, I'm going to ask you this. I know you real well, but I don't know if you've ever used a Bitcoin ATM. I know that I certainly have never used a Bitcoin ATM. In your opinion, has anybody that you know used a Bitcoin ATM?
Yeah, I have used a Bitcoin ATM actually. So I did it as a video. I have a video on my channel from a long time ago where I went and I used one. I think it was a Bitcoin Depot ATM. It was in a gas station off Windy Hill Road here. BJ said it's how he bought the first time, which makes sense because he lives in the shadows. But the fact is, I was very disappointed in the experience because the fees were extremely high. They had the coins overpriced compared to Coinbase, and there was KYC. So it was really kind of a triple negative. But however, I do know the guy who runs my IOST node, and he is now in the Bitcoin ATM business, and he crushes it. He says that people will drive from 4 hours away to come use those ATMs because they don't have anywhere they're from. It's up in Pennsylvania, like kind of in the rural areas. And so there are people using them. I guess it's people that live kind of cash only lives. Maybe, I don't know, waiters, scrippers, accountants. I don't know who's using them exactly. But there is a big amount of people that do use them. But to me, for me to use a Bitcoin ATM, it's got to answer one of kind of three criteria. Either I'm a person who only deals in cash, which kind of makes sense, why you would have cash to put in. Number two, has to be no KYC. Or number three, it's got to have lower fees and a better price than Coinbase. If there's not at least one of those three things that are ringing true, then to me, there's not really a reason to use one.
I love it. Stache, what about you? Have you used a Bitcoin ATM?
Yeah, I have actually. I've used a Bitcoin ATM, and I actually did some like tutorial videos for a local ATM company on how to use the ATM. It was actually kind of fun to shoot those. They were in a bunch of malls here in Southern California, and we went and shot them on location. It was kind of interesting. But as far as them being really useful, I think that Ben's right. I think that it really comes down to people who deal mostly in cash, and they would, they want to go that route. There are some Bitcoin ATMs that don't KYC